Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. And if you're returning and you look over to this side of the screen and you see that the subscribe button isn't hit yet, I have to ask you why. Okay, because you came here a couple times, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Okay. Hey Alicia, what's up? Early in the chat, I appreciate it. Hey C Golden, hey Carrie Conversations, thank you so much. Jeremy D, when I tell you the show is a disaster from Johnny to Jose to middle-aged Republican, I can't. I feel you on this, okay? 100%. This show is a mess. And at this point in time, I love talking to y'all about the mess, to be real. But I'm ready to get on to the next season. I'm ready to get on to the next bag of mess because every single week it's the same thing. This week I got so excited and I thought that this was going to be the end of Michaela and Zach. And partially through the episode, y'all, I was like, yes, it's over. I don't have to be taking notes over and over again about them arguing. What's up, Sakina? I don't have to keep sitting here tweet because y'all know I like to tweet along with the show. Okay, Monique, yes, exhausting AF. Okay, so yeah, y'all go ahead and follow me on Twitter because I like to tweet. Y'all know one of my most successful tweets last night, LOL, was I said something along the lines of, I'm convinced that this is foreplay for Michaela and Zach because I can't. Okay, I hope y'all been keeping up with the show and y'all just understood my insider because I cannot. Okay. So I hope y'all are locked in, subscribe, y'all like the video. I hope y'all got y'all notification bell turned on. So yeah, we can go ahead and get into the show. As far as any announcements, y'all, today is Thursday, so y'all know what it is. Ooh, ladies, first day on Thursday. Tonight, we're going to be on Jay Lee's Corner channel. So y'all go ahead and follow Jay Lee's Corner. I'll see y'all on there at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm also going to be wearing my little Halloween costume, okay? So I can't wait for y'all to see me in my costume at 8:30 because that's pretty much all the dressing up that I'm doing for Halloween, y'all. But yeah, I'll catch y'all over there at 8:30. And then when the weekend comes around, y'all, I plan on getting back into my reviews for Ready to Love and Love and Marriage Huntsville. I just cannot let them all pile up because then I get overwhelmed. So instead of doing a bunch of reviews on Sunday, I think I'm going to have one video come out on Saturday and then I'll load up the rest on Sunday and then I'll load them up again on Monday because I was just extremely overwhelmed last week. And I was like, this is too much. Okay. Because I can do 2 to 3 videos. And y'all know I love talking. I can do 2 to 3 videos. But when it comes to like 5, 6 videos a week, too much. Tap out, tap out, tap out. So, y'all, the title of this episode was called Memory Lane and Dirty Secret. And I really hate that they included Dirty Secret in the title because I feel like they really shortchanged us on the amount of time spent talking about this dirty little secret. They had a poll on Facebook and they had asked, one of these people from the show ended up staying the night at an ex's house. Who do you think it was? And the options were there. I thought it was definitely going to be Rachel or Ryan. Come to find out, it was Rachel. But y'all definitely cheated us out of Jose's reaction. We didn't get the conversation, y'all. And I watched the episode twice, and I don't even think Rachel told us, like, did you sleep with him or not? The whole thing just was like, do you trust her? Yeah, move on. What? Y'all, let me not get into that too early, okay? But thank you, Carrie. Make sure y'all are liking the video on your way in, okay? It was the stoic look on Michaela's face for me. It was Michaela's wig for me tonight. You could tell, like, when her and Zach wasn't good, she just had the lace thrown on any type of way. And then whenever she thought she was walking into that closure meeting to get her man back, the closure was laid. So she was on ready. So let's go ahead and go in order of the events. Let me go ahead and pull the people up. Let's go ahead and start here. So y'all, Val and Johnny returned from the trip that they spent in Bonham. They went somewhere in Texas, somewhere in the country, y'all. They returned from the trip And y'all know Val and Johnny really didn't spend too much time together on this trip. And it seemed to me, hey Ramel, so fave, seemed to me that they really preferred not to spend the time with each other. It's so weird, okay? What each of them are saying about the other one is true. But to me, Johnny still seems more like the bad guy in this situation. Y'all comment below and tell me if I'm wrong. I still see where Val really wants to be liked and really wants a validation that she's not a quitter in this relationship. And if this relationship fails, the relationship fails because of Johnny. I think she wants to make that clear. Let me fix my mic. She wants to make that clear, y'all. So they return from the trip. And Val's like, how are you feeling about it? And he was like, it was cool. So they sit there in awkward silence. And he says, I'm going to go take a shower. So really, this whole thing is Johnny wants their relationship to build from level one, from a friendship perspective. It's been 7 weeks at this point, Johnny. The only time you want to go back to level one is when you're trying to creep back to level zero. So that way your ass will be out the door and on them dating apps like Ryan. But okay, we'll just play dumb. Because I told y'all the men on this show, they love to try to look like the good guy in the situation. And if you make them look like an author of confusion, then they get upset. Johnny is only upset because it seems as though he is the guy who's calling it quits. He seems to be the author of confusion. And he even goes back and forth this episode. We'll talk about how he flipped later on. So let's stick with Johnny and Val. So this episode, each of the couples or are they contestants? Each of the married people, I really want to call them singles. Anyway, they go back to their hometowns, right? They go back to their hometowns and they have to talk about, their childhood, what it was like growing up and everything else. Trauma wig, okay? So first, y'all, we see Johnny's house. He starts showing about pictures of his family. He actually has a picture of his mom and dad and his sister. And Val's like, oh, wow, do you actually remember a time when your dad was around? He says a little bit, but every single memory pretty much wasn't a good one. So he ends up reading his letter to himself. And to me, what I got from the letter was everything sounds like he sounds very similar to Zach to me. Like he's trying to reach this level of perfectionism. He talked about how, you might not always have the nicest sports car. You're not a billionaire yet. You're not this, you're not that. But to me, it just seemed like he was never good enough for the things that he expected, I guess, or expected from himself. So in his letter, he also says that he should forgive his father. Then, y'all, I have told y'all video again, Johnny, you don't need a wife, you need therapy. Okay. There's something there. So he talked about how his dad really wanted to make the relationship work. His last effort to make the relationship work, he flew his mom, his sister, and Johnny out to LA, where his dad lives now. And he showed them a house. And he was like, hey, I will buy this big, nice house for us to live. Let's start over. Johnny's mom said, no, I'm good on it. She did not want to take their father back. And I feel like Johnny said himself that he's learned that it's easy to just leave relationships because his mom had no fear in basically leaving his dad. But in the same breath, there seems to be a lot of anger in Johnny that we see in Johnny and his vein. And I feel like he definitely holds some resentment against his mother for not going back to his dad. But it's weird because the way it played out is you would think that he would really want a relationship to work. But you don't see this in the dynamic between him and Val. So now, y'all, we go to Val's house or her old house. And what we see is just land. So initially, I'm like, y'all, I feel like Val be bullshitting sometimes. So when we first got there, I was like, she ain't live there. That wasn't her house. But then she actually had pictures. And I feel like Johnny probably felt the same way because Johnny was like, well, I wish that I could see the house. And Val was like, well, I actually have pictures. So she showed him pictures of the trailer where she used to live. Then she reads the letter to herself. And y'all, when Val read that letter, I was like, wow, this is the reason why you are the way you are. And it made me really, I don't know, just appreciate Bao a little bit more. I had more understanding as to why she likes to put on a facade like everything is all good. If you think about it, she's been telling us that from the beginning. She would walk the opposite way home. She wouldn't want people to know where she was living. And I really thought that her stories at the beginning was just like, hoo, woe is me. I had the struggle. But once she showed us the pictures, I was like, all right, I'm going to fall back. I actually believe you. So in her letter, she talks about how her father had PTSD and that she wishes that she just gave him a little bit more grace because he lost everyone that he knew in a war. And at the time, nobody knew how to deal with her father having PTSD. So she's crying. And then Johnny's actually consoling her. This is when he starts acting like the good guy again, y'all. He's hugging her, rubbing her back. She's crying in his chest. And then he says in his confessional that Bao's letter actually made him think, when Tay talks this, we still don't know if those pics are real. True. Because I don't think she was in any of the pictures. I think it was just pictures of the trailer. Who knows? But anyway, Johnny starts to think, Bao's letter has him thinking, am I like any of my parents or either one of my parents? And he says, yes, I actually am. I feel like he's just like his dad. But I feel like some of the resentment that he has towards his mom, he places it in his relationships. Like he expects a level of perfectionism out of a woman. And I think that's because he's upset with the decision that his mom made. But in his scene, he said that he's happy that she made the decision that she did. I think it's a very confusing thing that Johnny needs to figure out. And that's why I tell y'all every single season, I wish that these people spent more time doing individual therapy. Like, I want to know about these people's lives before they get matched up. So that would be really cool if during the pre-special episode, y'all talk about, your childhood. So that way I could be like, that's what's wrong with you from the beginning, instead of us trying to figure out what happened after the fact. So he says in his confessional, while Bao is crying in his chest, that maybe he's expecting too much from Bao and that he's given up too easily. But it also makes sense as to why Bao is so committed to this marriage, because her mom was committed to her father, who was an alcoholic, who had PTSD. She never gave up, and they're actually in a good spot now. So Johnny is just saying whatever he thinks sounds good, because the next time we see him on camera, he's already made up his mind that he wanted to leave Val. He just needed validation. So I feel like in every single scene that we've seen Johnny, he's been looking for the validation that he needs to leave Val. Even when it came to the dinner scene, y'all, I'm going like 3 episodes back, when they all went out to dinner and Val was fronting, saying that she had made gourmet meals, right? I too was upset at Val for doing that. But Johnny was extremely angered. And I think he was so angered because he wanted that as his get out of jail free card. Like, see, this is why I'm leaving, right? So that's what he was looking for when we find out that Johnny actually had a conversation with Val's friend, Sarah. So y'all, I finally did something that I usually don't do, and I watched the unfiltered episode. Come to find out, yeah, people said, why I expect the old trailers to exist. Yeah, that's fair. So anyway, I watched Unfiltered. Johnny was on Unfiltered, and that's where he explains that Sarah is actually a mutual friend between Bao and he. Like, it's not just Bao's friend. So anyway, they're on the phone. He says that they're talking about cars. And then all of a sudden, Sarah says, well, how's your relationship with Bao? And that's when he says, it's not good. So then Sarah starts spilling tea on her friend and says, well, I'm not surprised because all of Bao's relationships end up like that. And then she also said that I'd never recommend my friends to date Bao because she likes to break you down and then build you back up in the perfect image that she wants you to be. And Johnny is just delivering this information to Dr. Pepper as though we were supposed to do something. What do you want me to do with this information, Johnny? Like, just because that's what Sarah says about Bao, What have you seen in this relationship? Has she broken you down and built you up in this ideal image? Because I have to completely disagree. I feel like Val has allowed him to just be. And she's been the one that's like, I'll let you be, but I'm not leaving. Okay. So I definitely have to disagree with Johnny. And I think that he thought that that information was going to do something. What do you want us to do with this, Johnny? If you want to leave, then just say that. You don't need Sarah to make Val the bad guy. So I'm just like, really? Yes, he threw the friend all the way under the bus. And it was funny because he said, I hate to bring Sarah into this. No, you don't. You don't hate to bring Sarah into this because you think that Sarah is a part of your get out of jail free card. So, Johnny, I cannot clown shit. Okay. Clown shit for sure. He's not the clown of the night, but he's definitely one of the clowns of the season. It's so many of them this season that I just can't deal. I can't deal. And whenever I saw the way he acted with Bao, I low key was like, you know what? Between you and Michaela, I'm not that mad that Zach and Bao are together. Allegedly. Allegedly. Okay. And Keisha says, but Johnny never said she was a mutual friend when he chose to bring it up. That is very, very true. He waited until the unfiltered episode to say that she was a mutual friend. But in the unfiltered episode, he said that he and Sarah were actually closer friends for 15 years than Sarah and Bao. What he also let us know in the unfiltered episode was that Bao has been engaged 3 times. I was like, what? So yeah, Bao's been engaged 3 times, and apparently Sarah says that the same thing happened in all of her engagements, and in all the engagements, Bao has been the one to call it off. So I would like to know more about that, and I wonder why they didn't bring that up before on the show. I definitely want to know why they didn't bring it up before. If one of these people were engaged before and they called off more than one engagement, what was the reason? Cardi B voice. What was the reason? So, y'all, I think that's all that happened between Bao and Johnny. But yeah, that's all that happened between Bao and Johnny. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next couple. The next couple that'll be the easiest to talk about. Ugh, the easiest to talk about. Let's talk about Ryan and Bret, y'all. Let's get them out the way. So I think the show is getting a little bit tired of Ryan and Bret. I don't think they're giving what they were supposed to give. Oh, okay. Val mentioned the previous engagements already. I didn't know that. Shout out to y'all. So, anyway, Ryan and Bret. We really don't have much to talk about when it comes to Ryan and Bret, but some drama did happen this this week. But I thought it was funny how we were already like over an hour into the show before we even saw Ryan and Bret. Ramel. So snooze. Okay. So they go out. What's up, J Dub? They go out to some little picnic area. Y'all, I really wish that we saw where Ryan was from. Okay. I really wanted to see his big old nice middle class house. I wanted to see the American flag poles hanging outside of his house. I wanted to see the back the blue flags because he definitely was giving Eric from last season. So I just wanted to see where he was from. I know it would have made more sense. And I wish that we saw everybody's house, but we didn't. And Ryan told us last episode that he was from somewhere 15 minutes from where they just spent the retreat. So being that this episode came immediately after, I don't know why y'all wouldn't have left the retreat and then just went straight to his house so we could see where he was from. Not unless his family doesn't live there anymore. Who knows? So anyway, they're vibing, y'all. They're having a picnic. Bret is reading her letter to her younger self. Her letter has a lot to do with finding happiness through friendships, not falling for any guy and having her heart broken multiple times. And she also throws in like a little respectful piece to her dog. I think his name was Bentley, right? Rest in peace to her dog. So anyway, that was cute. Then Ryan, he reads his letter In his letter, really, I don't remember anything other than him talking about his friend who passed away. His friend's name was Adam. He passed away in a freak work accident. And y'all, it's something about Ryan. I said this from the beginning. He has so much depression in his face. Thank you, J Dub. Her dog's name was Baxter. But Ryan has so much depression in his face. The bags are getting texts to be shipped on an airplane. Those bags are heavy, y'all. And I knew it from the jump. Andrew, thank you so much, Rachel. His friend's name was Andrew, not Adam. So I so badly wanted him to just cry, to let his emotion all the way out. But it seemed like he was just holding back so much. But he definitely did make a huge step in the right direction by talking about his friend in general. So after he has that moment of vulnerability, Bret is attracted to that. And all of a sudden, they're feeling like maybe they could restart. So the very same day, they go back to Bret's apartment, or he comes over to Bret's apartment, and Bret tells him, well, I heard from a friend that you matched with her friend on a dating app. And he just looks, I can show you the app and I can show you that it's not active. Sir, you matched with her today. Well, I can show you it's not active. You matched with her today. Just because you deactivated your account before you walked into my house doesn't prove anything. Hey Julia, Bret was so calm. Thank you. Bret was so calm. It was so funny to me. Because she really could have blown up. Bret has she's just been so patient with this man, y'all. I think it's because she's like, what am I fighting for if I know that you don't really want me? So she just says to him, like, you couldn't have just waited a week. Like, he really could have waited a week and then he could have been back out there. He's like, well, the only thing I can do is show you. And she says, I don't need to see anything. So he just says, okay, I'm going to go. Yeah, you should leave. You should leave, Ryan. So he leaves and he says to the camera, well, I don't even think I should show her because she doesn't want to see it, but I'll show you. And they were like, well, just send it to her. And he sends her a text message and says something like, you do whatever you think works for you, but I can assure you that I wasn't active on the app today. Ryan, save the text message. You're not saying yes on decision day. You're already out the door. You're already trying to figure out other relationships. You didn't feel bad at all whenever she exposed what you did. You were very calm about the situation. You didn't argue about it because I honestly don't think that Ryan thinks that he did anything wrong, y'all. I don't think Ryan thinks that he did anything wrong. Y'all tell me if y'all get that same feeling. I think that Ryan was just embarrassed that she found out about it that way. But I don't think he thought he did anything wrong because he doesn't see Bret as someone who's like a partner. He's not attracted to her. They have no relationship that's physical, emotional. He's like a partner in a group. They're partners in a group project, okay? That's definitely what I'm getting. They're partners in an 8-week group project, and he's embarrassed that she found out that he's moving on that way. But I don't think he cares. So that's pretty much it between Ryan and Bret, y'all. They're going to be done. So, y'all, trying to figure out who I want to talk about next. I'm like, who do I want to end it with? Let's go ahead and talk about Mirla and Gil. Okay. And before we do that, make sure that y'all are liking the video up on your way in. Hit the thumbs up button. Okay. Y'all agree with me. Ryan doesn't care. Ryan doesn't care. Jasmine, they both know it's over, so he didn't care. Yeah, they don't care at all. He definitely doesn't think he did anything wrong. Yeah. Okay, we on the same page. So Mirla and Gil, y'all, they pull up to, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. They pull up to Gil's childhood home. And y'all, they pull up in a cute BMW SUV. Y'all let me know in the chat. Is that Mirla's car that Gil was driving, or was that Gil's car? Because I know Gil didn't splurge on no BMW. I know Gil is a frugal man. He's more of a I would say a Nissan SUV driver, not a BMW. Okay, no shade to Nissans. Nissans are nice cars too, but I think it was Mirla's car. He was just driving it. So anyway, he takes her back to where he's from, and oh, this is where it gets really deep, y'all. We know from early on in the season that Gila and Mill, y'all, my brain, Mirla and Gil, they both share the weird commonality of both of their fathers being murdered. That was weird. So Mirla, she doesn't talk about her situation as much or at all this episode. She gave us what happened to her dad, like in the second episode. Gil tells us that his dad was killed in a home invasion. So he walks her through the complex, talks about how as a kid he used to play basketball, play outside, hang out with the wrong crowd, this, that, and the third. And then he specifically goes back to that night and what he witnessed when he was like 12 or 14. He's laying on the couch, people break into the house. His father hears the people break into the home. He closes the door with his back against the door. They shoot into the room, and that's whenever they hit and kill his father. So he says he remembers being on an ambulance going to the hospital. He goes to the hospital, and maybe like 20 minutes later, the doctor comes out and says, your dad didn't make it. So Gil just says, okay. He just talks about how he was so young, and at that age, he didn't really know what that meant. It didn't hit him until like 2 weeks later. So I had questions whenever the story came out. I feel horrible for Gil because he was a kid when that happened. But number one, I wonder if the people knew your dad when they broke into the home, because I wonder what would cause your dad to immediately push his back against the door instead of seeing who was in his home and you were in the living room. That was my first question. Number two, where was your mom? Number three, are you an only child? So, like I told y'all, I watched the Unfiltered episode, and his mom, I guess, lived in the States as well, but his mom and dad weren't together. His mom lived somewhere else. So Mirla was talking about how when Gil was a kid, he knew he would get in trouble with his dad. He would run over to his mom's house or try to get a taxi to his mom's house to, avoid getting in trouble with his dad. So a couple questions came to mind. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. A couple questions came to mind, regardless of what the full backstory was. Horrible situation for a kid to go through. And it was good that Gil had this moment of transparency with Mirla. I have to say, like, they went from we initially thought that they were going to be the worst couple on the show to being one of the best couples on the show. And based on what I was seeing on Unfiltered, I still feel like Mirla and Gil are still together. My predictions, as if they matter, because we're basically at the end of the show, Mirla and Gil are going to be together. Rachel and Jose are going to be together. Those are my predictions. So I think I want to go ahead and get Michaela and Zach out the way. And then we can go ahead and end on Jose and Rachel. Michaela and Zach are irritating as hell, equally. Okay. Now, y'all, I know there's new people who find my channel every single video. So for those of you who know me, for those of you who we on friend level at this point, y'all know how I felt about Michaela and Zach from the beginning. Initially, I felt like Michaela was the cause of everything. Like Michaela was getting all the smoke, right? Then as time went by, I started seeing some of the things that Zach has done and continues to do. This episode, I feel like my point was proven. A lot of people want to get under the comments and be like, it's a shame to see Black women not hold other Black women accountable. Where? I've talked about Michaela multiple times, but I also can peep when a man is manipulating her. Just because her reactions are inappropriate doesn't mean that what he does doesn't warrant reactions, period. So I think I can see it both ways, and anybody who's upset with me not placing full blame on Michaela can start their own YouTube channel, or they can cry about it. I don't care. So let's talk about Zach and Michaela. Let's move on. Like the video up, okay? I didn't even switch the image. Like the video. So Zach and Michaela, we find out that Zach and Michaela have not talked since the blow up in wherever they were, the retreat, right? And Leave It to Married at First Sight, I mean, they were coming with all the flashbacks, all the receipts, and they definitely left in the receipt of him leaving. And they show a frame of like a 3-second still of Val looking at Zach like, Val, out of all people, in front of Zach's face as he's leaving. She really didn't have nothing to do with the situation. But I feel like it was interesting that she looked at Zach like she was sad that he was leaving rather than consoling your friend Michaela if that's who you're so worried about. Just my observation. Okay. So anyway, they haven't talked. Michaela in this wig. Michaela in the closure that we can see the windows on. Michaela. She's in the camera. She's saying that she's basically been texting Zach. He hasn't texted her back at all. She's just been letting him know that she loves him and that she wants to make this work, and he hasn't said anything. Poor Michaela. Poor Michaela. We feel so bad for you. Girl, you don't need a husband. You need therapy. Okay? Just like Johnny. You don't need a wife. You need therapy. Zach, you don't need a wife. I don't know what you need, okay? I don't know what you need. I don't know what you need. So anyway, Zach ends up asking to meet with Dr. Pepper. Really, the whole vibe that I'm getting from Zach is that he just wants to meet up with Dr. Pepper to tell her that I am done with this relationship. And I have to agree with Keisha. This is a comment I agree with. Last review, I accidentally called Zach Chris. I feel like essentially Chris and Zach share a lot of the same qualities. The biggest quality is that they want to fuck for the entire 8 weeks. They want to smash for the entire 8 weeks. They want to milk the cow dry. And then after the show, they want to make it clear that they want a divorce. And then they want to continue knocking boots, milking the cow some more. That's the largest similarity I see between Zach and Chris. The only difference is Chris had a baby in the mix where Zach doesn't. They both were hot and cold this entire time. Like Chris, I feel like has to be one of the most unlikable guys on this show. And I think it was just because of the baby. Because if you remove the baby, he and Zach both had sex with their wives within the first 24 hours. After that, everything else was bad. Everything continued to be bad. Both men knew that they were not going to stay with their wives, continued to cause these roller coaster situations, continued to have sex. And then both of the men bring up the idea of getting a divorce, but staying together so they continue to have sex. How are they different? So anyway, yeah, I see a huge similarity between them. So anyway, Zach is talking to Dr. Pepper. He says that he's done with the relationship. He says what really set him off, what set Michaela off, was that he brought up the idea of getting a divorce at the end of this and then exploring the relationship after because they would be in different positions. What would be different? This is the same thing that Chris suggested to Paige last season. Like, what? I don't get it. So, anyway, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Bailey, wow. Anyone who's saying Chris is like Zach, you're delusional. Zach hooked up with Michaela like it takes two. It does take two. And Michaela is just as foolish as Paige. I'm not understanding. The math is definitely mathing. Okay. So, anyway, yeah. So he says they'll be in different positions. Y'all, what position is going to be different other than I guess you won't feel pressured to be legally married to somebody? I'm like, I don't know. So Zach also tells Dr. Pepper that he called his exes on the phone for advice. He wants to know what he's like when he's in conflict. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because I don't think that was necessary for I don't think it was necessary for Zach to call his exes on the phone for advice. I feel like anything that had happened with the blow up last episode, I feel like a lot of that whole blow up was caused by Michaela. I don't think that Zach did anything to warrant that. He did do things to play with her emotions, but to warrant the blow up that we saw, I don't think Zach did anything that caused that. So anyway, I'm like, interesting. You're on the phone with your exes. And interesting, you're wearing your ring on the opposite finger, but okay. So anyway, Michaela ends up coming. Dr. Pepper obviously doesn't want them to get a divorce. Dr. Pepper is doing the same thing that Pastor Cal does. When these people want an out, y'all really try hard to convince them that, maybe you should stay, maybe you should do this, maybe you should look at it differently. And she says, Dr. Pepper says that they get updates of what the couples are doing every single week. So, based on the updates that you've gotten from Michaela and Zach, I don't know if what we see on TV is just the worst of the worst, or if, I don't know. I just don't know why Dr. Pepper would, I don't know why Dr. Pepper would encourage Zach to work that out. It just seems very toxic to me in general. I think Zach is manipulative. I think that Michaela is ready to explode, okay? One of the things that she says that really rubs me the wrong way is, you confuse my passion for, what did she say? She said, you confuse my passion is misconstrued, is what she said. And I feel like those are usually things those are red flags. Those are usually things that you hear men say who end up being like emotionally and physically abusive. It's like, no, I'm just doing this because I love you so much. I'm only blowing up your phone and looking through your window and tracking your location every minute of the day because I love you. And that's what Michaela was giving. So anyway, Michaela comes and she definitely plays victim in front of Dr. Pepper. And the first thing she says whenever she sits down is, Zach left me. And as you know, it's a trigger for me because I kept telling him, please don't leave. I've tried so many times. And then they start playing all the flashbacks of her saying, leave, leave, leave. You should leave. You should go. Go right now. And Zach says, you know what? I can't even listen to this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And in that moment, y'all, I was so happy that Zach ended up leaving. I was like, Zach, this is when you walk away, because you can't have a conversation with somebody who's missing a few marbles. You can't. It's no point in driving yourself crazy. So when he left, I thought that was the end of it. And I was happy. I was clapping. I was like, thank God we don't have to talk about this every single week anymore for the last, 2 or 3 episodes. But no, Zach wanted that old thing back. So he calls for a closure meeting. And when Michaela comes, she actually looks really cute. Her wig is much more laid than it was before. She had on a super cute blazer with like little embellishments on it or whatever. And when she sits down, she says, Zach, I fought for this. This is where she says my passion was misconstrued. And that's where I'm like, nah, that's dangerous. Like, that's what the emotional and physical abusers usually always say. So Zach says, yeah, I just feel like our relationship is mostly positive. And he's wondering if this is worth the fight. Zach, the relationship now all of a sudden is mostly positive. From what we've been seeing, I don't know how they chop and screw it. I've been seeing mostly negative. And if you think about the last Unfiltered, Dr. Viviana says, if you think about it, Zach and Michaela don't know each other any better than they did at the altar. That's facts. I feel like the only thing that is bringing them closer is sex. Okay. This whole closure meeting, somehow there still was an undertone of sex. This up and down toxicity, I feel like, is foreplay for sex. So, anyway, Zach says, either way it goes, I just want us to both be in the best position possible, whether we're divorced or not. And he says that I would say yes on decision day if that would make Michaela comfortable enough to talk to me. So that's just him essentially saying, it doesn't matter if we're divorced or not, I'm still making Michaela a priority in my life. And I think he's just saying what he thinks sounds good, because I'm like, this is where the confusion is. if you feel like Michaela, y'all's relation, if you still want to improve y'all's relationship, if you still want Michaela to be a priority in your life, then why would you say no on decision day? If that's the point, you might as well stay with her unless you want something from her throughout the rest of the week, the rest of the time leading up to the 8 weeks. I'm not understanding it. He's so confusing. And to me, I feel like they're both just attracted to each other because of the sex. If you think about it, the same thing happened at their 1 month anniversary. They got into an argument at the salsa dance. They made up. And then what happened? They got a hotel room. Okay. So many of those things happened. It was just dumb. Now, this time, they talked to Dr. Pepper and Michaela. This is where I feel like she was making a little bit of sense. She says that she needs a yes from him and not just because he wants to talk to her, right? So Zach says, decision day won't dictate their future relationship. That doesn't make sense, but okay, whatever. So Zach says to her, my door is always open, whether you want to talk today, whether you want to talk tomorrow, but I want to go ahead and talk about this. Ooh, J-Dub. He says soul ties. It's a whole different subject, but soul ties, right? So Dr. Pepper says, okay, hold each other's hands. Tell each other that y'all are going to work on this relationship. Michaela can't even look at Zach without smiling. She's in lust with this boy. So yeah, he says to her, when do you want to talk? Do you want to talk right after this? And you see them get onto the elevator and everything is just very flirty. The body language is rocking back and forth. They anxious. They ready to knock some boots. So I'm just like, I can't. Keisha, you're right. If you think about it, Keisha, this is her comment. She says, if you think about it, Michaela always makes just the tiniest bit of sense in her bag of crazy. Yes, I have to agree. I feel like Michaela makes the littlest bit of sense in her bag of crazy. Like last week when he was saying we can be divorced, but nothing's going to change. And she said, I can't take it. I felt her on it. I can't take it. It's confusion. Monique says, I'm tired of the experts acting like they haven't seen the footage before they counsel them. Say it again. But like somebody else said in the comments, the experts are in the business of making this show last 8 weeks. Okay, regardless of if they, actually want to stay together or not. So, y'all, I still, I said what I said. I still think that Zach and Chris are very, very, very similar. I think Zach and Chris are very, very, very similar. I think that Chris is just not as slick or not as obvious about his motives as Zach is. Zach is more of a, I would say, respectful dude to the first impression. He isn't as open to talk about sex as Chris is, but there's definitely some physical activity going on that's causing this up and down roller coaster. And I don't think any girl, any woman, I don't think any woman would lose her shit the way Michaela has over some pain that she only had once. Okay? Y'all tell me in the comments if y'all disagree with that. Y'all tell me. I don't think anybody is losing their mind over some pain that they only had one time. This is a regular thing. So y'all go ahead and like the video up. We're going to move on to the final couple. That final couple is going to be Rachel and Jose. This is where I feel like they shorted us. So I told y'all at the beginning of the video, the name of the episode is called Memory Lane and Dirty Little Secrets. Don't know why they called it Dirty Little Secrets, because they really didn't talk about the dirty little secrets too much. They chewed off the best part of footage where we could have seen what Jose's actual reaction was, and we didn't get to see it. So Jose takes Rachel to his childhood home. It's a house in Pearland. It's a cute middle income type of home. We find out that his parents actually built the home from the ground up, and they worked really hard for what they had so that their kids could have a better life. He has a degree. His sister has a degree. They had very successful lives, it sounds like. So we see pictures of Jose as a kid. And it's funny because you could tell like teenage Jose was really like trying to look like he was hard. He had the buzz fade haircut. He had the ears pierced. Much different than this cleaned up metro looking Jose that we see now. So anyway, the kid pictures are cute or whatever. And he just loves talking about himself. So he's really getting a kick out of taking Rachel to his home. So they're in the kitchen and he's telling her that they didn't have it all too well. He said, we didn't have it all too well. We didn't have everything. We were eating rice and beans for dinner. And Rachel was like, you think that that's the symbolism of being poor? A symbol of being poor? She was like, I thought we were just being very Hispanic. And I think Jose, this is where Rachel brings up a good point. Rachel wants to know, what is Jose comparing life to if he thinks that they didn't have a lot when he came from a middle income home? Yes, C. Golden said Jose is faking the struggle. I think that this is Jose's perception. I think Jose thinks that they didn't have a lot because he's comparing it to where he is now and what his expectations are for his future self. Y'all know he is definitely what do they say, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect. So I don't think that was a struggle at all. Yeah, he doesn't know real struggle. They had a house. It seemed like they only had 2 kids from what we know. Y'all had y'all's own room, and from my guess, one of your parents still lives in the home, because y'all went there and there were pictures of you in the house, even though your parents were divorced. So I'm not understanding where the struggle came from. I think he just wanted his story to sound very moving so we could kind of put into perspective where he is now. But okay. So anyway, Dr. Pepper, y'all, let's go ahead and get into that. Really, the two of them, they're all giddy. Everything's all good. They're learning each other's triggers. Rachel says that Jose's trigger is making him talk about something whenever he doesn't want to talk about it, because then he's going to say things that he regrets, like bounce, and like when he cussed her out 3 episodes ago. So I guess if that's what you have to do in order to not have your man cuss you out, if you like it, I love it. So I forgot what Jose said Rachel's trigger was, but they're both learning about each other, right? So they make a joke about Rachel being a modern woman and Jose being a traditional man. And we find out that Rachel actually has a secret to tell Jose. And then the camera moves on to something else. So that's why I'm like, why would y'all even name the episode Dirty Little Secrets? Y'all don't even show us what Jose's reaction was. So then we fast forward to Jose and Rachel at home, and she's telling us what happened whenever she told him. So come to find out, Rachel was the one who stayed the night at an ex's house the night that Jose locked her out of the home. So she makes it seem like, it's not really a big deal. She makes it seem like the way that she told him was right. And I think he wants to be with her so bad that he convinces himself too that she handled this situation the right way. In what shape or form did Rachel handle this situation okay? So she says to him, well, I didn't want to tell you to make you jealous or make you mad. So I wanted to wait until the right time to tell you. Okay. Well, I want you to trust you. I want you to trust me. I don't want you to have a lick of insecurity when it comes to me. Well, Rachel, how long have you been sitting on this information? Because it's been about 2 weeks since he locked you out of the house. And then if y'all go back to a couple episodes ago, she was saying that she was knocking on everybody's door in the middle of the night. She was knocking on everybody, meaning all of the other couples, because they're all housed in the same apartment complex. You telling me that out of all those couples, nobody answered the door for you to come sleep there? You're telling me that out of your friends who we've seen episodes ago, your friends who were in the wedding, you couldn't have called them at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get to their house? You're telling me you couldn't have called an Uber to go to their house? So why would you call an ex out of all people? And then the other thing that I thought was hella weird was Jose doesn't ask her if they had sex or if they did anything. It's just kind of understood. So I'm like, what? Why would you name the episode Dirty Little Secrets if we're not even going to talk about Dirty Little Secrets? Kimberly Rivers, this is a comment. Nope, because they don't stay there. I said that a couple episodes ago. I don't think that a lot of the couples stay there. Like even this episode, we saw Bret and Ryan having a conversation at Bret's house. They don't stay there. I think the only couples that actually stay there are I would have to say Mirla and Gil. I can't think about anybody else who actually lives there. Michaela and Zach don't live there. She brought her bags to the apartment. Bret and Ryan, we know, don't live there. So yeah, nobody was probably actually living there. But you went to go stay with an ex, and we know that you have cheated before. So Jose just decides to believe her. And that's that on that. So maybe next week, Jose will talk about if it bothered him a little bit more. But I agree, Devin, he was way, way too calm. And Rachel definitely dressed this up like, no, I didn't want to hurt you. No, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to bring it up at a bad time. What? So you telling me you've been in this man's face? Y'all been sleeping in the same bed for nights on end. It's probably been 2 or 3 weeks at this point since he locked you out. And you never thought that there was a good time for you to tell him that you stayed the night in the ex's house. And then on top of that, you almost made him feel worse about locking you out, knowing that you took your ass to your ex's house. So Jose definitely was the bad guy in that situation, but you had also done something wrong too in response to what he did to you. So I don't trust Rachel. I definitely feel like, you know how Jose said, once a cheater, always a cheater. I feel like she's more likely to cheat. What somebody does when y'all are in conflict tells you a lot about their character. And if Rachel's first response was to hit up her ex, I don't know, something is not right there. But y'all, that's all I have for Married at First Sight. Okay, let me read a few of these comments and then we're gonna head on out. So make sure y'all like the video up. Like the video up. Is J Dub, Rachel cannot be trusted. Period. Okay. C Golden says Zach be lying. Knives Out says, I wonder if Rachel slept with her ex. Me too. Don't name the episode Dirty Little Secrets if we're not going to find anything out at all. Don't even address it. Y'all really didn't even have to put it in the show because Rachel and Jose didn't even address it with each other on camera. So I'm like, come on. Diana says, in the previews, this is in reference to Michaela. Michaela is alluding to them sleeping together when she's talking to her sister. Yup, definitely. Of course she slept with him. That is the commonality between Michaela and Zach, sex only. Both of them are full of shit. Okay. I don't know what that is. Lanice says Jose likes to conform to whatever he thinks will make him look more manly. Ramel says Rachel, he is using her like Michael is using Ashley from Real Housewives of Potomac. That is funny. And a lot of y'all called out the fact that Jose grew up in a house built from the ground up. Rachel is Miss Shady Boots. And that is pretty much Teresa. Good question. Teresa says, my thing is what made her so comfortable to call her ex, they must talk often. Say it again. This has to be the ex. Y'all remember in the first episode, she was in a relationship for like 3 or 4 years. And she had only been out of her relationship for like 6 months. It was a dude who had cheated on her. This is probably the ex that she called. Hell yeah. The ex is always around. That's who she called. Okay. So, yep. That's why Rachel took him back so easily. Her and that ex got it popping. I'm sure she was like, you know what? It's fair. We good. Okay. But thank you so much for being a moderator. Thank you, Sam. Thanks for watching the video, y'all. Be sure to like the video up, comment, subscribe, y'all. And tonight I'll be on the Ooh Ladies First panel on Jay Lee's Corners channel with my Halloween costume on. Okay. So if y'all want to see what I'm looking like, go ahead and find me on Jay Lee's Corners channel. Okay. As always, like, comment, subscribe, yada, 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 yada. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.